and welcome back to Quick Spin, the Autoweek podcast that gets to the essence of the automobile today. We are talking about the 2021 Cadillac Escalade with Wes Raynal. You can take a look at this Escalade on our Instagram page right now. That's at Autoweek USA. And hey, while you're there, why don't you head over to our Facebook, click that like button. That way you get all the great Autoweek content we deliver daily. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about this Escalade in just a second, but first we have to pay the bills. In case you missed it, Road and Track is now fully loaded. The magazine you've loved for years is now the ultimate lifestyle magazine for automotive enthusiasts. And now, when you join the Track Club by Road and Track, you'll receive 6 supersized issues, access to digital content, dozens of partner privileges, exclusive invites to editorial events, and first dibs on insider automotive events both online and around the world. Hop on in by visiting roadandtrack.com/autoweek. That's ROADANDTRACK.com/AUTOWEEK. And Mr. Raynal, tell me about this 2021 Cadillac Escalade. I think this is the all-new Escalade. Is that correct?
It is. And it's the same newness, as they say, as the Chevrolet Tahoe and the GMC Yukon, all on the same platform. So yeah, GM finally redid their big crossovers, so big SUVs, their full-frame SUVs. Not that they needed it, because they sold every one they could make before, but they've redone them. The Escalade and the Yukon and the Tahoe, all new 2021.
Tell me about it. What's this thing like?
I thought it was quite an improvement over the old Escalade in terms of build quality. The build quality inside of this Escalade is outstanding. It's as good as, I don't want to say it's as good as the Germans. Let me think about this for a second. It's darn close to the Germans. It's a very nice car. It's got it all over Lincoln. So, if you consider that people probably cross-shop Cadillac and Lincoln more so than Cadillac and Benz or Bentley or Audi, let's assume for a second that Cadillac and Lincoln are going head-to-head here. It's very, very competitive, if not better, than the Lincoln. They really took a leap forward in terms of build quality inside. The panel gaps outside, all great. The soft touch materials inside, very, very nice. Very, very quiet. Going down the road, we'll get to that in a second. But it's a big improvement over the outgoing Escalade. And I always say to people, isn't that the whole point? Like, when you're going to do a new generation of something, make it better.
But no, Mr. Raynal, you took us on a little walk around of this brand new Escalade, which we're going to cut to right now.
I'm sitting in a 2021 Escalade four-wheel drive Platinum, which I assume is the highest trim you can get. This baby costs $100,000 plus, almost $110,000. It does have $5,210 worth of options on it. And the best thing I can say at the moment about this car is that it is 17 degrees out, so it has heated seats and a heated steering wheel and a killer heater. And at this stage, in this temperature, that's a lot in its favor. So it's very good looking outside, and the build quality inside is sky high. Cadillac has really upped its game on interior build quality. This interior is handsome. It's kind of a tanny cream color. In front of me sits a pretty wide screen. I don't have a ruler on me, but it's probably 20 inches across, maybe 18 to 20 inches across, a little more. On the left is trip information. In the middle, to me, straight in front of me, is a tach, speedometer, that kind of thing. To the right is infotainment, heat, air conditioning, that kind of thing. All very intuitive, comfortable in here, good seats, nice leathers throughout. The wood is a little shiny for my taste, but it's got this little pinstripe sort of pattern in it that looks very sharp. Overall, this is much higher build quality than I thought it would be. And let's take this baby for a spin, see what she'll do.
And I'm looking forward to you wheeling this thing around. But no, we have got some things to talk about, Mr. Raynal. You talk about the build quality. What makes this new Escalade pop out to you?
I think just the upping the quality on the materials and the way that they screw those materials together, much improved over the outgoing Escalade or any other big sort of crossover from General Motors or SUV. I do think that Cadillac, as a philosophy within General Motors, realized they need to get their act together in terms of build quality. They did not have it going on compared to the Germans, let alone Lincoln. And General Motors realized that and really put their sort of, head on straight in terms of build quality and trying to get on the same plane as the Germans and Lincoln. And this car is reflective of that. Now, I hear that some other Cadillacs coming down the road are going to be even more so toward that sort of goal. But this thing is a great step in the right direction.
Now, Mr. Raynal, talking a lot about the Lincoln, and I can only assume you're talking about the Navigator. Do you think that the new Escalade is a response to how good the new Navigator is?
It could be. I'll tell you a little story. I remember walking around the Detroit Auto Show with a General Motors executive a few years ago, back when we had live auto shows. And it was the year that the Navigator was debuted. And so he and I wandered up to the Navigator, and he or she looked inside and said, "I'm really happy about our Escalade coming after looking at this." And I said, "Yeah, but the difference is this is out now, and the Escalade isn't." But now the Escalade is, and they sort of hit the ball out of the park in terms of build quality. I don't know how to stress enough that this thing is really, really, really beyond up to par in terms of build quality.
No, so Mr. Raynal, you actually spent some time driving this thing too.
I did.
Which I'm excited to go to, and we're going to go to right now.
Okay, so here we go in our 2021 Escalade. As I said, the build quality and such is very nice. I also pointed out earlier that the killer heater and heated seats and heated wheel are very much appreciated. As for the way it drives quite nicely. I like big trucks. I like big crossovers. I've always been a huge fan of the Tahoe and Suburban. I grew up riding in the back of a Suburban as a child, so I have a soft spot in my heart for these full-sized sport utility vehicles. I know a lot of people don't love them, but I'm not one of those people. I happen to like them a lot. This particular car has a few modes to choose from. You can choose from Tour, which I spend most of my time in. There's a sport mode, there's an off-road mode, there's a tow haul mode. So 4 altogether: Tour, Sport, Off-Road, and Tow Haul. I spend 99.9% of my time in Tour. The other choices you have are rear-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, high. You can switch in between 2 and 4-wheel drive. Or auto. You can set it to auto and let the thing think for itself. Even with a little bit of snow we've had, I've never had it out of 2-wheel drive. And everything's been fine. The steering is a big improvement from what I remember of the outgoing vehicle. One thing I was a little disappointed in is that this car does not have Super Cruise. I really wanted to try it. I am actually probably going to ring up Cadillac and see if I can get a car with Super Cruise. I've only had one experience with it, and I need to try it some more. Other than that, this thing is super comfortable, super quiet. Like I said, the steering's really nice compared to how it used to be. Very direct and nicely weighty. It's a good-looking car inside and out. Ultra quiet, double glazed glass, of course. So it's like having 2 sheets of glass in each door. Seats are comfortable. I would be happy to jump in this thing and drive it to, say, Des Moines this afternoon. It's a very nice car. I highly recommend. If you need to haul people or stuff, this thing can tow a ton. It would be great for towing a large boat with a bunch of people inside. I recommend it.
If there's a young person in your life who's really into cars, give them the gift of R&T Crew, the ultimate subscription box by Road and Trek for kids ages 6 to 10. Every other month, a box is delivered to their door and is stuffed with cool accessories, fun activities, and a magazine chock full of facts, stories, games, and more. Sign up now to receive the all-new Mad Scientist box and enter code Autoweek for 10% off an annual box subscription. Just head over to rtcrew.com, that's rtcrew.com, and use code Autoweek. Well, I do have to say, the people should be inside the Escalade, not the boat when towing. I think that's a safety problem. But no, Mr. Raynal, the big deal for the new platform that this Escalade rides on is its independent rear suspension. And I know this is kind of a nerdy thing to talk about, But did you feel the difference with having the independent rear suspension versus the former live axle?
Not necessarily, except I would say that the thing felt more planted and sort of less jumpy, so to speak, especially over sort of, if you go through a corner that's sort of rough pavement or potholey, you're going to feel a big difference in the independent rear versus the live axle rear. But generally speaking, day to day, not so much. It is a nice way to move refinement forward in a car of this ilk. It just feels more refined because of it. It's not necessarily something you can say, oh, well, I got this independent rear suspension now and I'm a badass and here's what it's going to do for me. It's not so much that. It's just overall refinement sort of day to day. It almost doesn't speak to you. It like whispers to you day to day.
But Mr. Raynal, this is a quick spin, and we always have to hit the hard-hitting questions. And I know you've been dreading this. I've been dreading it too. I don't want to put you through any problems. But what is the essence of the Cadillac Escalade? What's its raison d'etre?
I mean, it's sort of like the pinnacle of General Motors, right? If you think of in terms of how SUVs and crossovers are sort of the hot sellers, and Cadillac is the tip of the spear in terms of General Motors, right? Because you have Cadillac, GMC, Chevrolet, Buick. Cadillac's the tip of that spear, and here's the tip of the crossover spear. So we're looking sort of at the top of General Motors. This thing is probably, and I don't have numbers in front of me to back this up, so I'm pulling this out of my you-know-what. But I would be willing to bet that this is probably one of the higher profit vehicles that GM makes. And combined with the GMC and the Chevrolet version, it's sort of like a license to print money. As long as we have inexpensive gasoline, this thing will fly very, very high, I think. I already see them all over the place now. Granted, we live in Southeast Michigan, which is GM country. So we do see a few more than the guy in Dubuque, Iowa. But there's a lot of Escalades running around, a lot of the new ones, and I think they look darn good on the road.
I have to say, in full support of that statement, my neighbor across the street has a new Escalade. He may or may not work for General Motors, and if he listens to this, howdy, neighbor. But it looks good. There's sitting there in the driveway. It definitely has a lot of curb appeal.
I agree, and there's sort of a sense that you could get a loaded Suburban or a Yukon, and that would be a better quote-unquote deal. But damn it, there's a room in this world for the top, right? Room in this world for people that want the pinnacle, the sort of tip of the spear. And I think that this, not to belabor this tip of the spear thing, but if Cadillac is the top sort of division in General Motors and the Escalade is the top of Cadillac, what are we looking at? We're looking at the top of the top. And I think going forward, I don't think GM's going to have any trouble selling as many of these Escalades as it can build. I really enjoyed it.
I think that's some ringing endorsement and a good place to put a pin in it for this week. Mr. Raynal, thank you for driving this Escalade. I know it was a challenge, but hey, somebody has to do the heavy lifting. Yeah.
The sacrifices, I guess it's worth it. I'll think about it some more.
No, and also thank you so much for listening. While you're taking a listen to this, while we're wrapping up the show, if you could head over to the Apple Podcast or wherever you're listening to this bad boy, and drop a little 5-star review and give us a little comment. Let us know what you want to hear about in the future. Let us know what you like hearing about. And also, hey, while you get your phones out and you're playing around on the internet, why don't you head over to our Facebook page and our Instagram page. On Facebook, click that like button. That way you're getting all the great content we deliver daily. And on Instagram, you get to see all the great posts of pictures of stuff, mostly from the website, that we are sharing daily. It's good stuff. And most importantly, it's free. But I know I just said this, and I can't stress this enough. That's how I wrap up every episode. But without your listenership, none of this could be possible. So thank you for listening. And tell a friend.